From Harry. Tim, I read on your website that your hometown of Oldton had completely disappeared. So I sent you this short video clip. I found it on an old tape that I don't even remember using. It's the middle of summer, and a sleepy Oldton dozes in the hot sunshine. One small prop plane buzzes off into the distance through the clear blue English sky. Another citizen of Oldton taking flight, do you think? Not the way your dad disappeared, I know, but one small piece of evidence at least, that one by one, the people of Oldton were busy, making their escape. All the best.
Tim's dreaming again, all tucked up in his early morning bed, dreaming of the place he likes to call Oldton. He's taking that walk in his head, the familiar walk around the garden in his old family home. Listen to him.
Behind the flower bed, in under the beech trees, past the iron swing, down the musty dark path behind the potting shed, across the vegetable patch.
That's it. Touch the water pump, through the apple trees, climb up the compost heap where the rhubarb used to grow.
What's there? I can't see.
And from there he can just see over the wall, a little boy peeping over the wall.
I can't climb up.
Yes, you can, Tim. You're a big boy now, remember?
I can't.
Yes, you can. Climb over the wall and head for the beach.
I can't get up. I need help. Dad? Dad?
From Martin. Tim, I was never happier as a child than when I was playing with my model boat in the sunshine at Oldton Park Pond. Technologically incredibly crude by modern standards, my cabin cruiser, what a dated phrase that is, was just over a foot long. Its propeller was driven by a little electric motor, which in turn was powered by two U2 batteries. There was no fancy radio control. You just positioned the rudder to steer the boat in the direction you wanted it to go, pressed the button, put it in the water, and off it went.
And off Tim goes, still dreaming, despite the alarm clock, despite the glare of the little red numbers that have been staring accusingly at him throughout the night. Or rather, he's half-dreaming. The little journey that plays out in his head most mornings isn't just his anymore. The website has seen to that.
Get in the car. Move away from the house, away from home. Past the empty village green, perfectly mown like a croquet lawn. Past the pub with its lights still on, other drinkers still hard at work.
Nice touch that, isn't it? The pub. But don't think Tim makes up these important little details by himself. Oh, no. He gets lots of help.
Past the bus stop where no buses ever stop. Through the shadows cast by the old brush factory.
The smell of wood shavings mixed in with the machine oil rises up from the timber yard. That's from the website, too. Anyone who has anything they want to add to the town can just email it in. A memory, photo, souvenir. Tim started it months ago.
They're planning the warning signal at the level crossing as the last train prepares to pull out of the railway station.
That's from someone called Elaine. Tim will take anything and try to weave it into his dreams. If it helps him piece together his old town, then it's in. All part of building up the map. The map that will finally chart out and nail down the things that bother Tim about his past, about what happened to his dad, about himself.
Down the narrow lane to where the road runs out and becomes a bumpy track.
Trees turn to reeds, turn to salt marsh, turn to sand dunes.
We're on the beach
And stop.
Stare at the sea.
Stop. It's here that the website stops and Tim is on his own, alone, with the ghost of his dad.
Stare at the sea and... Come on, let's see it. Stare at the sea and... And what?
Daddy!
What?
Daddy!
Oh.
Daddy!
Yeah, sorry, kids. I'm coming.
So, there goes Tim, catapulted from his dreams and into the day, quickly washing and brushing and dressing. He's down in the kitchen in minutes, doling out the Cocoa Pops, preparing packed lunches, signing day books and homework sheets, digging out PE kits from the laundry and rescuing trainers from under the sofa.
10 minutes.
He's a good dad, always there. Well, most of the time. Certainly in body, if not always in spirit. Dads are good at that, aren't they? Suddenly switching from complete attention to being somewhere else entirely. It's an exclusively male talent, that, to be able to absent oneself from a scene in a nanosecond.
Don't forget your shorts. We've got 5 minutes.
But not Tim. Oh, no. He's desperate not to disappear or give up on his kids at any stage. He doesn't want them to feel how he feels.
OK, bye then. Careful crossing the road.
But what are the memories of Tim that his children will take with them into adulthood, eh? Will it be these hours of frenzied food preparation, laundry and paperwork with barely an exchange, just barked time warnings and careful on the road? He wants to be able to leave behind something better, more meaningful, more poignant. But perhaps someone else can do it for him.
From Rob. Oldton. And when we were kids, we just got so tired of hearing Gramps and Granny sigh over it. It was the vacation destination when they were young, back in the 20s. And they told the stories just thousands of times, and we would always just groan. They'd say, "You remember that bed in the inn at Oldton?" And then they'd laugh, and then they'd say, "You know, you remember the headboard banging like a drum corps, and then when we broke the bed and it fell down on the floor?" And we'd roll our eyes and we'd say, "Come on, Grandpa, put a sock in it." Ugh. So we only really visited ourselves once. They took us there. It must have been, I think, the early 60s. And, you know, finally we saw this legendary place, and we couldn't believe our eyes that this little dump was the legendary Oldton. It just looked really small and faded, but the famous inn was still there, and the famous room was actually the innkeeper's office. And as we were registering, Granny said, "I wonder if the walls still have that mark from the headboard." And all us kids went, "Granny, cut it out." So we finally got into the room, and Gramps and Granny sat together on the bed, and they took a deep breath, and they said, "Smell that? It's that same smell." And there was some really unique, strange smell about it that we smelled too, and it was kind of a combination of spice and gunpowder and kind of wool lint and a hint of badger.
Half an hour has passed. House is empty and quiet. Tim's wife left for work hours ago. Kids are at school. He's alone. He could have a drink now. I'm having one after all. Cheers. But Tim's going to think about Oldton instead. Spend more time on Oldton.com.
Dear friends, I am pursuing several theories about how or why Oldton disappeared.
There he is, crouched before his computer, surfing the net, emailing and what do they call it? Googling for more memories of his beloved Oldton.
Is the town perhaps buried under 6 lanes of motorway, or submerged under a lake? Or was there an economic disaster that forced everyone to move to the city?
It helps him to put off the moment when he has to actually do anything, like write a proper story, or look over the garden wall, or face himself.
Or was there a rare and virulent disease or plague at work, a parasite in the brain that made everyone walk away from Oldton?
And of course it stops him drinking. So instead, he loses himself in online searches, digging up references to a place that doesn't actually exist.
Oulton. Oldton. A town in...
Suffolk. I know that one. See how stuck he is? one hand on a keyboard and the other hovering over a mouse, eyes fixed to the screen, ears plugged with headphones, insulated, paralysed.
Olton. Oldton. Without a D.
Midlands. Dead to the world he is. Lost in his search strings, his keywords, his alternative spellings.
Oldton, beginning with an A.
As in Alton Towers.
Oldton.
No.
No Oldton. No D.
From Sybil to Tim. About 4 years ago, I was doing some sessions with a group in a drop-in centre for people who had mental health difficulties. The route to this centre took me through Oldton, without a D. So, though Oldton is very prosperous, for me it's a place tinged with sadness. The people I was working with had great strength and courage, but they'd also experienced huge losses. So thoughts of fragility and loss and the difficult road back to well-being were always with me when driving through Oldton. Maybe Oldton is Oldton with a lost D. The D could stand for many things: death, depression, desire, drunkenness, dreams, or maybe the D is for Dad.
Mum, I'm making you this tape so that you might understand why I'm doing what I'm about to do. I'm not drunk. I've just decided that all this stuff has got to go. I've got to get it out of the house. It's driving me nuts. It's dragging me down. So, I'm packing it all up. You'll be cross with me, I know, but I guess you've still got family photos of your own. These photos, they're the only ones I've got left. The skinny little boy fishing for his supper off the back of a riverboat. Young man in national service uniform. The firm stance of a grown-up. The nervous grin of a little boy. You know, as time goes by, it gets harder and harder to remember what Dad actually looked like. Do you find that? Or remember what he sounded like, how he talks? I've no idea.
Burn it, dear boy. Burn the lot, I say. All those stupid male effects he left you in the will, too. That's it. Take 'em with you. The old suits you never wear, the gold cufflinks you bent out of shape, the chunky old-fashioned calculator that never works. Take the lot. Take the bloody croquis set, why don't you? You never use it. Pack it all up in the back of that car of yours. Take that, too, and go down to that ruddy beach and burn the lot. Forget about him. Move on.
From Muzzy. Dear Tim, I never lived in Oldton myself, but my grandparents had a house on the outskirts of the village in the 70s. The road was called Matthews Lane, I think, or Matthews Road, or Way, or something like that.
Take a tip from all these Oldton people. Parcel it all up, all the sad stuff, the lost stuff, the bits of you that you don't want, and send it off to a place where it can all get lost. And stay lost.
Strangely, I have no memory of the house itself, but a very vivid recollection of taking my imaginary dogs for a walk to the end of the road, so that they could do what little dogs need to, even imaginary ones. These walks must have been a trying matter for my parents, because we always had to make sure that there was a large enough gap in the traffic for two excitable dogs to walk along the stretches with no pavement. I can remember that there was a bus stop near the corner, and the phone box.
You see? They're giving you a reason to get in that car today, giving you addresses and real locations. Go on, go on. Get that multi-map website thing out.
Matthews Lane.
12 entries.
Matthews Road.
14 entries.
Matthews Street.
Ah, only 8 entries. And the first one on the list, not that far away.
A few minutes' drive.
Lots of detail. An address even. Somewhere to go.
Right then. Let's do it.
And so Tim set sail in his little red craft, the Renault. The same make and model his dad used to drive. So he claims. Another journey. But this time not in his head. Not a dream. Into the boot goes all Dad's stuff, the sci-fi books, the photos of weddings and work dues, the 60s woolen suits, the thin ties, the thick ties, the club ties, the bow ties, and, yes, the croquet set. Everything that lives on in Tim's world to prove that his dad was ever alive is going. The blunt penknife, slide rule, rusty pliers, sailing charts, tie rack, all that stuff that sat in the corners of Tim's house for years, crouching on shelves, tucked away in drawers and cupboards, hiding in tea chests in the attic, haunting the place and humming with the memory of that day. That life-changing day on the beach that Tim can never describe, can never own, because it's just a big black hole. A big black hole of unhappiness, abandonment, loss. Time to climb over that garden wall for real, Tim, and take all your childhood baggage with you. Cart it off to Oldton and dump it with all the other stuff that people are saying goodbye to.
From Jonathan. I want to say goodbye to the bad years at 6 Walker Drive, when the windows almost shook out of their frames every time they tested the artillery on Foulness Island, when the swimming pool turned green and moss and lichen dulled the red and white flagstones of the patio, when the pool lining peeled away from the walls and the vixen drowned in the deep end. I carried the dead weight of its sodden body onto the golf course in a sling made from black bin liners. Goodbye to the willful cruelty of my grandmother's carers during the final years of her life. Goodbye to the flat balcony roof that leaked, the water streaming down the wallpaper, and the rust spots blooming along the base of the radiators. Goodbye to the light bulbs that I didn't have the energy to replace, going out one by one, and the ceiling light that broke with one punch, the glass falling down around me in slow motion.
So, this is Matthew Street. It's about around 11:30. I'm walking down a line of Victorian terraced houses. Typical grubby urban living. Hang on. No gardens here.
Tim's carrying a large plastic bag he's picked up from the car, the kind of bag a wino packs his bottles and cans in.
Not very Oldton, but we can change that, can't we? Right. What have we got here?
First thing out of the bag, a shoe brush from the family factory. It's still got Dad's name engraved on it, and a school number, 326.
Do you remember, Mum, we used to have brushes for every occasion, didn't we? Clothes brushes, dust brushes, toothbrushes, yard brushes, soft, hard, big, small. At least now, whenever I brush my shoes, I won't have to think about him.
Tim waits for a moment when the street's completely empty and then leaves the brush on a windowsill by the side of a large window basket resplendent with pink geraniums. Now he's dropped a pair of gold cufflinks onto the curb.
I know the cufflinks are probably worth a few quid.
Gold and in perfect condition, thrown onto the pavement like a piece of chewing gum or a cigarette butt.
But never mind. They're mine now, and I choose to lose them. What next?
Now he's propping an ancient Christmas gift set of Old Spice aftershave up against a lamppost. Rather like the way people leave cheap garage flowers to commemorate a road accident, or a child run over by a car. He looks quite mad. I thought he'd head straight for the beach and destroy everything there. I didn't realise he'd go in for this kind of elaborate farewell ritual.
That's the lot for now. I feel, okay. Time to move on.
The street looks like some kind of voodoo shrine. I see it now. I see what he's up to. Very nice, very neat. A trail of Dad's belongings dotted across the imaginary Oldton landscape. Ties it all up, doesn't it? And scatters it all like ashes.
From Alison. Tim, do you remember the close, our jungle playground? We built secret dens, protected them from intruding gangs by fearsome nettles. Sitting on old bits of carpet and bracken, we rubbed our bright red legs with dock leaves and shared a shilling bag of reject tomatoes from Mr. Body. Poor Mr. Body. We giggled about him leaving bouquets of his prize-winning dahlias at the door of Miss Hammond's wool shop. Do you think he ever plucked up enough courage to ask Miss Hammond out? The Close is now a development of unique executive homes, by the way, and not a stinging nettle in sight.
My old napkin ring.
It's time for the initial tankards and all the other christening items to disappear. The spoons, family silver. Shocking, really, to see it all abandoned at the base of a tree like that.
It's funny, but I'm trying to smell the timber, but it's not here. There used to be a brush factory. Now there's just houses, a cul-de-sac, and one large tree, the perfect drop point. I guess brush making wasn't really going to last. I mean, if we couldn't make a go of coal or shipbuilding or car manufacturing, we weren't really going to be a great nation of brush makers, were we? Well, Dad wasn't, anyway.
Now then, let's not be too hard on the old man. Let me tell you, being a drunk is always a very good excuse for failure, you know. Oh, yeah. Fail while you're sober and you're just as run-of-the-mill incompetent. Nothing to write home about, or rather email about. That's what we do nowadays, isn't it? Email. Oh, yeah. You're just like everyone else when you're sober. If you're drunk and you screw up, it's almost acceptable. Blame it on the booze. Blame it on the booze. And after a while, if you keep getting drunk, nobody expects very much of you at all. People are amazed if you even get up in the morning. But that's what bloody alarm clocks are for, isn't it?
From Paul. I now have a feeling Oldton is the old name for Oldton, which is in Suffolk, not far from Lowestoft. In fact, now part of it. Are you aware of any Suffolk connections? Maybe you feel a twang when by the sea. A lot of Oldton men were sailors. They would sit on the bench on that little green in your first picture and tell tales of the sea. Later sing songs, sea shanties in the pub. Do you know any sea shanties, Tim? All that's best.
I think I've found Paul's bench, Mum.
What's he dropping off now? The sailing logbook, perhaps, the one his father wrote when he was just 13. Oh, to be that young again, that serious, as if one's achievements might actually mean something.
It's funny that Paul mentioned Lowestoft, isn't it? Right where his ashes are scattered, just off the coast. The best resting place for a sailor.
The deadpan entries about each day's progress, the faded photos of yachts and men in big shorts, the regatta timetable, race results from the local paper, lovingly precise drawings of the ideal boat.
That's better. Nice bench. Good view. Funny how quickly he really is becoming a part of Oldton. You know, the only sea shanty I know is What Shall We Do with the Drunken Sailor?
Tim finds it very hard to take anything very seriously these days.
Drunken sailor.
It's cowardice, really. Avoidance. Tim's way of managing to show off even while he's trying to hide something. What do they call that thing magicians do? Misdirection. What's it? Misdirection.
Funnily enough, I've unlocked something else here. I can see now a bit more of what was beyond the garden wall in my dreams. A graveyard, a field, a road, big sky.
Sometimes I wonder if Tim knows he's even doing it.
Yep. It's not a bad spot for watching the world go by, this.
You know, life, real life, doesn't have to make sense all the time. You can't always shape it into a story. Sometimes it's just a mess.
I can just see the road from here. And a bus stop. Mazzie's bus stop.
And sometimes it's not your story to play with, it's someone else's story, someone else's truth.
Yes, I can just imagine my dad buzzing back and forth along that road on his way to and from work. Oh, there's a red car now.
It was a black car. The red car was your mother's. It was a black car.
You can never tell, can you, where a car's going? If it's on its way there, or on its way back.
A black car. Listen to me. A black car.
From Barry, the long way round. He nudges down through second, letting it hang in neutral as the junction coasts up to meet him, to softly dock,
so there's a few beats free for scanning the bookie's window as it passes to the corner, where his death's been loitering, ready to snatch the wheel, twist, send the car skew-whiff across the cycle lane. One last small fling before it nuzzles in along the verge, the clumsy feeder coughing to a stop. But Dad, not one to leave a job undone, keeps on, along the slow route back through the rear-view mirror, dwindling 9 years now down moonless lanes beyond the town's last lights and his usual turn for home, where I'm still stalled and waiting, clock-watching, wanting to know what kind of bloody time he thinks this is.
I've listened to Tim trying to have some kind of conversation with his dad loads of times, and every time he can't do it. And even when he gives himself a second chance, like he's doing now with his Oldton thing, getting other people to talk for him, there's nothing he can say. Nothing.
I've decided to take the bus for a couple of stops, then walk back to the car. They're quite nice to leave a few books on the bus, I thought. The sci-fi stuff Dad liked so much. A few Heinleins and Dune. You never know, someone might like to read them. Book crossing, they call it, leaving books in public places for other people to pick up. It's quite fashionable, you know. I suppose what I'm doing might be called life crossing.
From Brendan. Remember Stop and Go Joe? My sister Anne used to tell me about this vagrant that used to wander around Oldton. The story was that if you saw Joe wandering and yelled stop, he would stop, even in the middle of the road. He would stop dead in his tracks because, so the story went, years before he was walking with his wife Carol, and as they crossed the Farnham Road towards the bus stop, Joe noticed a car coming around the corner from Toad Row. His wife was out in front, and he yelled at her to stop, but either she didn't listen, didn't hear, or the car was going too fast, and it ran her down. Killed her dead. Naturally, Joe was devastated. Couldn't work, lost his job, then his house. He took to wandering the streets aimlessly. That was the story anyway. I'd heard the story from my sister and a few other people, but I don't think I really believed it. In retrospect, I suppose it seemed like an urban myth. Probably lots of small towns have similar stories. Reminds me of the myth of the magpies. How's your wife when you see one? One for sorrow, two for joy, that kind of thing.
I'm not sure where this bus is going, actually. You know, I've never told you this, Mum, but for a long time I used to pretend that people like that Spanish tourist were my dad. I told my friends that my dad was an out-of-work actor, always having to keep his hand in when work was slow by dressing up as odd, quirky characters and then ambushing me wherever I happened to be. A lot of my friends believed this story for a long time and would point out people who were behaving strangely. That's your dad, they'd say.
Anyway, blow me, but one night, in about 1981, cruising around town with some fellow inebriates, we came across this old fella standing on the corner, waiting for the light to change. I had no idea who he was, but as he started to cross the road, I yelled out the window for a laugh, "Stop, Joe!" And what do you know? He bloody stopped right there in the middle of the road. I couldn't believe it. It was him. After a few moments, as we stared in disbelief, I yelled, "Go, Joe!" And he continued across the road. Urban myth, my arse. Brendan.
Ah, yes. The lost Spanish tourist asking for directions. Excuse, por favor. Or the postman with a special delivery. Sign and date here, mate. Not bad, eh? Or the drunk in the shopping mall. Well, not much acting needed for that, eh?
Off the bus now, heading back to the car. Just left some bow ties in a hedgerow. Looks like the wind has just blown them there, like sheep's wool or old bits of string. You know, Mum, when we visited him in the mortuary, he was wearing his favourite suit and a bow tie. Do you remember? He looked like he was just off to play bridge at his club. Not dead at all. And there was a huge bruise on his forehead that someone had tried to cover up with makeup. When I told one of my friends that I'd been to see Dad's body, she said perhaps he's finally fooled us all. His best performance yet. Nice one. Dead Dad. His best performance yet.
From Jodie. This message is for someone who was also called Tim. I have recently discovered that you were never real. This has come as a bit of a shock. 10 years is a long time to hang your hopes on an imaginary person. I met a lady last year who told me to write your name on a piece of paper, attach it to a balloon, and then let go. Instead, I made you a room, played you songs, got drunk, and imagined you walked in and gave me your jumper to wear.
Hi, Mum. I'm back at the car and I found this lovely village green. Perfect croquet lawn, in fact, so I thought, why not?
Tim doesn't like to think that his dad planned his little trip in advance. He'd rather it just occurred to him one day, like deciding to eat spinach instead of beans tonight, to lead with diamonds rather than spades, to roquet the red before going through the hoop rather than after.
We played a lot of games together, didn't we? In fact, I can't remember any time together that didn't involve a game of some kind. Cards, chess, crazy golf, croquet. It's funny, every time I used to get this set out and play a solo game, I'd see him on the other side of the lawn. Not really sure what someone looks like when they're thinking about death. Perhaps not very different from the way we look most of the time. Perhaps that means we're all thinking about death a bit more often than we care to admit. Might as well dump the hoops as well.
From Christine. Tim, I don't remember Oldton very well, but I do remember the school. I played in the orchestra. One day an artist turned up and photographed us. About a month later, she presented the school with a mosaic with me in it, the budding violinist, commemorated in ceramics, a plaintive memorial to the musician I never became. Don't stand out. Don't draw attention to yourself. Don't show off. Walking down the street or riding a bus, it's hard to hide a violin. It's difficult to pretend it's not there, or that it's just an innocent little case, a briefcase, a vanity case. It's a violin. Everybody can tell. Don't be different. Don't be deep. Don't be clever. Once I left my violin on the bus, accidentally. After school, my mother made me ring up lost property. I was terrified. I wasn't used to telephones. The violin came back. Don't be imaginative. Don't be unique. Don't stop paying attention to the here and now for 1 single second, or else we'll snigger behind your back. We'll fall out with you. We'll smash your face in given half the chance. Don't make a sound. Don't. Just don't.
I'm up on some cliffs, overlooking the beach. I can see all the boats puttering along the coastline. Tiny specks of people down there. Birds circling. I'd like to tell you what kind of birds they are, but I'm not good with birds. Don't know the names, don't recognise the sounds. It's very windy up here. Very lonely. I'm not sure I want to leave anything up here. I can smell the sea. I'm thinking of him down there on the beach. A little dot. Well, I guess he wasn't a dot, was he? He was a little smear of colour. That car. I'm not sure I want to go down there.
From Giles. Tim. Old Miss Seaward, over 150 years old, and lived by the river. She caught me throwing sticks at her horse chestnut tree and invited me into her cottage. Thinking she was a witch, I agreed. We sat next to a carp pond, and she opened several old shoe boxes containing birds' eggs of every shape, size, and colour. I would visit her 4 times a week. We ate curly-whirlies with our hot tea and talked of kingfishers, corncrake, smew. She grew more respiratory and restrained, sensed her end, and bought a plot in the village churchyard. A week before she left, I asked her for news of the nightjar. She said, "Only in Oldton are the nightjars truly at ease. We would watch them for hours on end, my love and I."
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor early in the morning?
I thought I'd leave the tape running all the way down to the beach now. I might as well give you the whole thing. I think I can smell burning. You know, there was talk on the website of a fire. A great big one that wiped out the town. Dad probably started it, eh? The chain smoker. As likely as anyone to drop a match or a butt in the wrong place. And the brush factory, the timber yard. An accident waiting to happen, don't you think?
I hope you're not trying to make this a story about a drunk. Please don't make it a story about a drunk. You know, when you take the drink away from someone, there's still a person there, isn't there? With a life, isn't there? Someone with a story. And that's what you get when you climb over the wall, laddie, and escape your safe little garden. Other people's stories.
From Nancy. The way I said goodbye to you was to have a bonfire, a pyre, a burning of all the things I never had the chance to say when you were around. I never said them because they were negative things, hurtful things, things you would not have recognized as belonging to you, but ways you made me feel about you and myself too.
So, what's left? Some clothes. Oh, this bloody calculator. Blimey, it's massive. Big buttons. Square red C for cancel. It's like a big electronic waffle or something. Long battery life, though. You know, when I first got this calculator, it still had Dad's batteries in. I tried to make them last as long as I could, which was quite easy because I didn't use it much, and anyway, it had a power-saving feature. I kept the same batteries for 4 years, and then some bastard in the office needed some double A's for a Walkman or something, and I was out at lunch, and they just took the batteries without asking. Just took them and ran them down. 4 years. I tried to explain why I was so annoyed, but I couldn't. They offered to buy me some new batteries, but that wasn't the point. What's the use? Press C for cancel. Throw it out the bloody window.
So I built a fire in the garden, and I decided that as I threw on bits of gash wood and old boxes, I would be consigning all my negative thoughts of you to the flames. But when the fire was lit and all ready, there was nothing for me to feed the flames. I was already at peace.
Families are always making up stories about each other, aren't they? Everyone's got a different take on that argument round the Christmas dinner table, or what happened at the funeral, and what she said, or what he said. Everyone's got a different view of that, haven't they? Anyway, we're here now, on the beach. Finally.
Well, Mum, I'm here. And I'm staring at the sea. And now what?
Well, you know what's beyond the garden now.
So what was his journey when he left us? Past a graveyard, a bus stop, pub somewhere along the way, then down Matthews Street with its grubby black doors, right past the brush factory, smell of a bonfire perhaps, small girl with a violin case running for a bus, a fox drowned in a swimming pool. And now there's just me on a beach. That's it. This beach. And me.
Try again, Tim. Look it straight in the eye and you'll see it. Get out of the car.
I must have opened a boot, I suppose.
And finds?
And found some hosing.
Yeah. And some tape.
The hose was for the exhaust.
That's it. You've said it now. You've got the picture.
And when it's all rigged up, turn the engine on.
Engine on.
Is that what you did, Dad? And then you just stared at the sea.
Stared at the sea.
Took a few slugs from a whiskey bottle, maybe?
Maybe. Maybe.
And then...
I want to sail on Oldton Broad, lean out like I've seen yachtsmen do but never done, and get wet but not drown. For some reason in this picture, I have a beard, a grey one, and look like David Putnam. In fact, I look exactly like him, in a yacht, a little one, with a white sail with 56 on it, and I'm wearing a blue checked shirt and a yellow life jacket, and it is me, but it appears to be David Putnam. And everyone thinks it's him afterwards, but it's me in Oldton.
So I think I finally killed him, Mum. Got rid of him, the voice in my head. I used to think that the more we lose, the more holes we have inside us until one day we just disappear. But there's always something left, isn't there? Something tucked away in a corner, forgotten in the attic, lurking in the bottom of a glass. And then someone like me comes along and tries to shape it into some neat little story to tell our friends. And in that way, things survive. He's not haunting me anymore. I'm not scared looking in the mirror and seeing him looking back. I'm not frightened of becoming him anymore. But he's still there, isn't he? Still out there somewhere. In Oldton. Isn't that right, Mum?
Tim, have you forgotten the kittiwake? It appeared as if from nowhere as we scattered your dad's ashes on the sea as he requested. The bird's haunting call as it wheeled down to look at the two wreaths of blue irises and yellow roses bobbing on the waves. It was you who first saw the bird as it followed the boat back to harbour, and we watched as it turned upwards and away into the distance, calling as it went. The harbour from which your father went sailing in a dragon nearly every weekend of the last year of his life. That harbour is one of the few nesting sites of kittiwakes. Perhaps that is where you will find him at peace, not alone in the dark world of nightjars.
In Search of Oldton by Tim Wright was based on the website oldton.com, supported by the Trace Online Writing Centre and the writer for the future programme. The narrator was played by David Ryall and Tim by Jonathan Cullen. You also heard from contributors to the website who read their own work. In Search of Oldton was directed by Pam Marshall.